In Standing Rock, I didn't really cover that much. Keith Ellison, Minnesota congressman. He is vowing for the Democratic National Committee chair position. He was one of Bernie Sanders' strongest surrogates. He is a terrific congressman, very, very progressive. He's a Muslim American, which I think would be great to have that as the face of the DNC, showing progressive values, showing diversity, particularly against Donald Trump and his Islamophobia. But I also have to provide tough love when progressives are doing the wrong thing. I've been critical of Bernie in the past, and I have to be critical of Keith Ellison right now. So right now, the state of play is Keith Ellison. He's got the endorsement from Bernie. He's even got the endorsement from Chuck Schumer and other establishment figures. I think that's a smart move by Schumer and other establishment people to realize the establishment got their ass kicked in the Electoral College, and you have to start catering, at least minimally, to the progressive wing of the party, because if you don't, you're going to keep losing elections. But now he's up against Tom Perez, the labor secretary, who announced yesterday his candidacy. Tom Perez, an Obama guy, endorsed Hillary Clinton. He was in WikiLeaks, shown to be, helping them strategize on how to make Bernie Sanders look bad. He's pro-TPP. Not a guy you want running the DNC. He's the same old you'd get with Tom Perez. So why is Keith Ellison, why do I think he needs a little tough love? So there's a story down in Florida. It's very, very complicated. I've spoken with people down there, sources down there, that explained it to me. I'm not going to get into the weeds of inside Florida politics because I'm not an expert on it. But basically, there is the Florida Democratic Party chair position is up. So there's two people running for it. There's a former state senator running for it. Let me get you his name. His last name is Bullard. Let me get his first name. I think his first name is, So former state senator Dwight Bullard. He just lost general election, but he is a very progressive person. He was kind of screwed over down there in Florida. He's an African-American. His district was redistricted to be heavily Latino. For whatever reason in Florida, Latinos aren't prone to be voting for African-Americans, so he lost re-election. But he's very progressive. Our Revolution endorsed him, and so did Bernie Sanders. So he's on our side, I would say. And he is running to be the DNC chair of Florida. Each state has their own each state has their own party chairman. Running against him is a Democratic mega donor. He's a real estate developer down in Florida by the name of Steve Biddle. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. Steve Biddle. He's a real estate developer. He endorsed Hillary Clinton. He is allies with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, if that tells you anything. He's been a longtime fundraiser for corporate Democrats, establishment Democrats. On the surface, he has some progressive values. He's for the fight for 15. He gives money to labor unions. So he does have some progressive credentials. But I can't have Jekyll and Hyde warriors that on one end are for the fight for 15, are on give money to labor unions, but endorsed Hillary Clinton, BFFs with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Those two things don't go together. So Patel is also running. Now Patel is a mega donor. Patel is in with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Patel has given plenty of money. Patel, during the Democratic primary, during the general election, held a fundraiser at his house, his home in Florida, where Vice President Biden personally came to the fundraiser. So he's a big money guy. I don't think he would be, listen, the DNC position, the national DNC position is obviously a little bit more important than Florida, but I think what Ellison is doing shows that he's off base. So Ellison, I'm going to read you from Politico, is primed to endorse Patel. I believe he might have already endorsed him. But U.S. Rep. Keith Ellison, a leading candidate to head the National Democratic Party, plans to endorse major Miami donor Stephen Patel for Florida Democratic primary chair in a move that helps settle warring factions of the state and national parties. Quote, "I'm proud to have the support from Keith Ellison, who is a leader of the progressive movement," Patel told Politico Florida, which first reported Thursday that the two were in talks. "I'm excited to engage the grassroots of our party, who have been such an important part of the Democratic Party." blah, 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 blah. He's not a real progressive, but he talks like that. He talks like one. Sound familiar? Hillary Clinton? The endorsement from Ellison surprised Democratic insiders because the Minnesota congressman is aligned with supporters of former presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, while Battelle was a member in good standing for Hillary Clinton's team. Sanders endorsed Ellison for DNC chair just a day after the group Our Revolution, a political organization launched by Sanders supporters, endorsed Battelle's rival in the state Democratic Party chair race, Miami State Senator Dwight Bullard. Again, Bullard, progressive, African-American, lost re-election basically because his district was gerrymandered. Neither Battelle nor Ballard currently qualify to even run for Florida's state party chair yet because neither is an officer in their local county party. But a spot opened up last Saturday when the newly elected Miami-Dade State Committeeman Brett Berlin stepped aside to create a vacancy. Both Battelle and Bullard announced they'd run for that seat. The election is December 20th, so 4 days from now. For Battelle, Ellison's support would signal a grassroots coup that helps him combat the criticism that he's buying support for the seat because he's a major party donor. For Ellison, backing Battelle, a staunch defender of Israel, could help quiet Jewish critics who believe the Muslim congressman is out of step with a major faction of the Democratic Party. Like Ellison, Bullard has run afoul of Jewish Democrats who believe he's too sympathetic to critics of Israel. But Bullard's supporters at Our Revolution say the Florida state senator has a better network of grassroots support that would inspire rank-and-file Democrats in Florida after Republicans dominated in the November election. Ellison could not be reached for comment. Okay, so if Steve Battelle is quoted, as I accept Ellison's endorsement, I would think Ellison has at least spoken with him. However, I want to be clear that Ellison has not come on the record as endorsing him. So this is a political story from Politico's Florida reporter. Battelle has said, I appreciate his endorsement, but we don't have on the record from Ellison. So I want to put that caveat out there to be fair to Ellison. Maybe he's watching and I'll convince him not to. But I think what Ellison, if my speculation on this without having talked to him, but Ellison, they've run a smear campaign against him. They've shown old things he has said about Israel to try to make him seem anti-Israel. The bottom line is, if we're keeping it real, a lot of the mega donors in the Democratic Party are Jewish and very staunchly pro-Israel. You know, I'm Jewish. I like Israel. I don't agree with everything Israel does, particularly on settlements and two-state solution, but that's a different story. But I think Ellison is aware that a lot of the DNC members who will be voting for the next DNC chair either are Jewish or are in that community, and Ellison putting Battelle over the edge. Maybe Ellison is thinking if he puts this big money guy down there who is also Jewish, that will ingratiate himself to a lot of the big money donors and therefore DNC members. And a lot of the superdelegates, by the way, that voted for Hillary Clinton against their own state's result were DNC members, DNC committee members. And I'm here to tell you, Keith Ellison, I love your politics, I love your progressive values, but this is the wrong strategy, and you're going down the wrong road here when you have an opportunity to go down the right road. Not only morally and ethically, but strategically, going down an opposite road is going to help you become DNC chair. And let me explain. I covered Bernie Sanders probably more than any independent media. I was at probably 20 to 30 of his rallies. I interviewed his campaign people. I interviewed his supporters. It was probably 50% of my reporting. And I think one of the fatal flaws Bernie Sanders made, if I'm being honest, and I've talked to his campaign about this, is Bernie Sanders, because he's been in Washington for a long time, he actually thought that he could single-handedly, through his movement, create change and change the Democratic Party through a grassroots movement. I don't believe that's true. I don't believe you can do that. And if you can, it's going to take more than one cycle to 2020, 2024, 2028, because first you got to get all these dinosaur corporate shills out of the way. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, Dick Durbin, the list goes on. And there's also younger stooges like Cory Booker, who's Emma just did a video on, is angling to run for president in 2020. So I understand you're a congressman and there are political calculations. Bernie made political calculations. But Bernie also went to a knife fight holding a spoon. Bernie never hit Hillary Clinton very hard on her connections to the Clinton Foundation. Bernie Sanders tried to play ball with the DNC. Bernie Sanders held back on going too harshly on Hillary Clinton's emails from my reporting because of promises made to the DNC when he initially ran. In response, he was told by the DNC, "Oh, we'll give you a fair chance. We'll give you, we won't try to stack the deck, and we'll be fair to you." Obviously, we know they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. And Bernie Sanders, even after the election, when he was proven right, when Bernie Sanders supporters were proven right, when the progressive movement has been proven right, is still playing ball with the Democrats. He's still playing ball with Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. He accepted this ridiculous position of outreach chair to come into Democratic leadership. They invented a position for Bernie, basically getting Bernie to make outreach to progressives when the corporate Democrats need progressives. No, Bernie Sanders should have been appointed to a already established position that actually matters. So Bernie Sanders is trying to create change through the Democratic Party. And I think that's a mistake because as you could see, and as I've reported in the last few days, the Democratic Party, and as Emma's been reporting while I was in Standing Rock, the Democratic Party, not only have they not learned their lesson, they don't want to learn their lesson from this election. Now they're fucking fear-mongering on Russia. They want a new Cold War to take the attention off the fact that all they have done for the last 20 to 30 years is taken money from banks, big oil, big pharma, and screwed the middle class and working class. They don't want you to focus on that. So I understand if Ellison's rationale is, all right, if I bite the bullet on the Florida state chairman, if I support this guy, help him get in there, then I instantly improve among Jewish donors and high-level Jewish Democratic Party members. This stuff about anti-Israel is diminished. I get it. But what Keith doesn't understand is right now is the progressive movement's time to pounce. It's time to pounce. He should be out there visibly slamming these smears and these reports against him on support comments he made about Israel, which I think he was right for the comments he made. He shouldn't be placating to a Florida sugar daddy. And by the way, I didn't get into the intricacies of the shady stuff that's been going on in this race. But this guy, Battelle, has been doing very shady and not according to the rules or bylaws of Florida law. He's been going around the edges to try to get this seat. He is a fight for 15 guy, but he supports Hillary Clinton, right? He gives money to labor unions, but he supports Hillary Clinton, who wouldn't do a damn thing for labor unions and was really pro-TPP. So what he should be doing is going out strongly and teaming with guys like Bullard, an African-American, a strong progressive, nominated by endorsed by our revolution and Bernie Sanders. It should be a united progressive front, pointing the finger at corporate Democrats saying, look what these guys are doing. Look who they're pushing. The same people that just got us, because of their stupidity, just elected a crazy lunatic reality TV star. This is the message Ellison should be pushing. He shouldn't be bowing down and placating to the Jewish lobby. And I'm Jewish. L'chaim, good Shabbos. But that doesn't mean Israel's always right. And that doesn't mean Jewish donors are always right. By the way, as I report to you, FBI backed CIA view that Russia intervened to help Trump win. And President Obama will be having his last press conference as president soon. But Keith Ellison is making the fatal mistake. And if he starts with this, making deals now, what's going to happen after the fact? He's going to make deals later to try once he's DNC chair. This is the time to pounce as a progressive. Keith Ellison should be coming out and saying, no, I'm not supporting this real estate developer who supported Hillary Clinton and is a big money donor. I'm supporting the other guy who's actually progressive. And here's why. And you know what that does? When you fight, you galvanize you guys. You galvanize progressive activists, progressive media viewers, Young Turks viewers. You galvanize everybody and let them try to ram through Tom Perez as DNC chair when they just lost because they ran the female version of Tom Perez. This is the time to fight. It's not the time to make deals with real estate developers who had fundraisers for Hillary Clinton with Vice President Biden there. This is not the time for that. And by the way, this is an ally of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who other than Hillary Clinton is the number 2 most hated corporate Democrat in America to the progressive movement. So maybe there's more calculations going into effect, but does it make sense that Keith Ellison, who is endorsed by Bernie Sanders, endorsed by our revolution, is going against the candidate for Florida state chair that our revolution endorses? Bernie Sanders endorsed? And again, qualifier, he hasn't come out formally and endorsed this guy. But Politico is reporting it. You got the guy Battelle quoting, I appreciate his endorsement. You would assume they at least talked. But as much as I or you might like Keith Ellison's progressive values, and I hope to interview him, I've requested a few times, but he's been busy, I've been busy, we could disagree. But, Bernie Sanders playing ball with the Democratic Party, what did that do for him? I firmly believe in Jimmy Dore and I just did a segment on this last night. I think if Bernie would have ran Green Party, I think he'd be president. I think if Bernie would have ran as an independent, I think he'd be president. It's too late now. It doesn't matter at this point, but continuing to make deals just for the short-term gain, yes. Would you making this deal, would it help you probably get into the DNC chair position? Yes. But okay, what deals are you going to make as DNC chair to placate the establishment? It's a slippery slope once you start down this pathway of kind of taking a pause on your progressive values. If you start taking pauses on progressive values, if you start endorsing one candidate over the one you truly want to endorse, it's a slippery slope from there, Congressman Ellison. So, again, who becomes the Florida state chair is very important to activists in Florida. I don't want to diminish it, but it's not the most important thing in the United States. But the macro picture, if Keith Ellison wants to be the DNC chair, Keith Ellison wants to organize a progressive revolution to run more Tim Canovas in 2018 and actually win. I think Tim Canova was just in the wrong district, to tell you the truth. I think he had a better chance running to become senator than he did in Debbie Wasserman Schultz's district. And he's a great guy. He and I have talked several times. But the bottom line is, if you start making these deals with mega donors, real estate developers, Hillary Clinton donors, guys who are on every side of the issue, not a good telltale. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with Bernie Sanders or Keith Ellison sitting down with Chuck Schumer. I'm not saying have a wall that Trump makes and don't even talk to the establishment. That's not realistic. In politics, you have to make compromises sometime. But there's a difference in making compromises where you're still getting something of value for your constituents and the progressive movement, and making backroom deals with people that don't have the progressive movement's best interest at heart. I don't know Battelle. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but the people he is aligned with are not true progressives. Hillary Clinton, not a true progressive. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, not a true progressive. So I'm not the progressive police to tell you who is progressive, who is not, but actions speak louder than words, and we know Hillary Clinton's record. We know Debbie Wasserman Schultz's record. So let's focus on this. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but now you're armed with the information. I will put the story I read to you in the YouTube link so you can read it. But Ellison still has an opportunity to right the ship. He has not formally come out with this endorsement that I know of. And I think that Ellison still has an opportunity to not get into who the state party chair is and all this. Congressman Ellison, you're not going to instantly become DNC chair just because you made some Jewish donors in Florida happy. You still have an uphill climb. Your best chance is to fight and to light a fire under the corporate Democratic establishments behind. You already have Chuck Schumer, the incoming minority leader's endorsement. That matters. You have other corporate and Democrat establishment endorsements. So I get what you're trying to do, but the minute you start making deals and endorsing people that are not true progressives, it's a slippery slope. And what's the next time you look the other way or endorse someone that endorsed the wrong candidate? I'm not questioning your integrity. I've watched you over the years. I think you're a terrific progressive. But when you're wrong, you're wrong. And at this particular situation, I think you need to reevaluate.